can mean only one thing. It means ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky joins us. His appearances on One Bills Live, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, an official mobile sports betting partner of the Buffalo Bills. And Dan, we're not going to spend too much time on that disaster in Houston, but the protection scheme was of major interest to a lot of Bills fans, so we wanted to get your thoughts on it. Bills largely chose to protect their quarterback with 5 against their 4 for most of the game. There were some minor variations here and there. Question to you is, when it became readily apparent that that wasn't an effective approach, why not pivot to more max protect, more chipping, more running the football, a screen game of some kind? What would be the reasons not to pivot there and maybe stay the course?
Yeah, so Friday morning, my biggest complaint was not enough chipping. You don't necessarily want to max protect against a unit that can cover to the lengths that they can cover. Like, there's a reality too here, Chris, that this is just an elite defense, and certainly at home, an elite unit that, unless you're playing almost flawless offensive football, you're going to be in some uncomfortable situations that lend to the defense having an advantage. I would have liked more chips. Screen game, yes, you got to be so good with your screen game in a lot of different situations because this is a downhill defense. And so the way that they fly to the football, sometimes negates screens. I thought some of the things that were lacking were, one, I do not believe that James had enough under center runs. You can go back to the first long touchdown, under center run on maybe not obvious rundowns. I would have preferred. I think the second thing was just not enough chipping. Is Dion elite? No question. He's a high-end left tackle. Those guys get paid as well, and they're tremendous players. Spencer Brown's a really good player. The other guys are in their scholarships too, and so that was probably my second biggest complaint. And then my third thing was I just thought some situational play calls left a lot to be desired. And I say that with respect to Joe. It just, at times, that's kind of been something that's reared its ugly head this year.
And generally speaking, when you've got a defense in Houston that's as good as it is playing at home, if they can get quick, consistent pressure with just 4 guys, I've called it the magic elixir for defenses in the NFL. If you can get quick, consistent pressure with 4 guys, everything else takes care of itself. There's so many guys in the back end, all the windows closed down, and they can do just about anything they want in the back end. And that's kind of what happened against Houston, right? 4 guys pressuring. They got there quick. Josh had to pull it down and move around quick, or find somebody to get rid of it too, and the windows were just not there.
Yeah. So, Steve, I would say this. One, they have 2 of the 6 best pass rushing defensive ends in football. And arguably each of them would be in your top 10, and then duo could be the best. They have linebackers. They're about as fast as anybody. They got a corner that his ball skills I would put up, and don't take it from me, defensive players say they're the best in the NFL, ball skills wise. They got safeties that are long and rangy and athletic. And they got another corner that is probably one of the better cover corners in the league. He just gets overshadowed by Stingley. So, yeah, I don't want to make excuses for Buffalo's offense, but they can get home quick and there's nowhere to go with the football. And so max protect, but then they've got 6 guys covering 3. Get them all out on only 5-man protection and try to win, but then also you're stretching that protection. So, yeah, there's a reason why Houston's climbed back into the conversation. You're not going to see another defense outside of Denver that's going to be similar to that unit, but those are 2 of the best units in football.
Spinning it forward to a Pittsburgh defense in Pittsburgh. Once again, you're on the road against another defense that can rush the passer. 34 sacks on the season, 5th best in the league. We know T.J. Watt's an all-world player, and the Bills are very likely putting Ryan Vandemark on the field at right tackle in place of an injured Spencer Brown this week. So how do you best facilitate the protection plan? And I'm not trying to bag on Vandemark here, but he's a swing tackle for a reason. He's got 2 really good tackles in front of him in the lineup. but how do you best avoid a repeat of last week? Again, Steelers, not the Texans, but still a pretty good front.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game when you get into those passing situations, and let's call them obvious passing situations, obviously early downs, certainly some more play action, which is something that I would like, and a lot of your RPO and screen game, but obvious passing situations, it starts with where's 90? Okay, we're going to help 90 where 90 is, TJ Watt, more often than not. Now we'll see if Highsmith plays. I don't believe he did last week for Pittsburgh. We're going to help where TJ Watt is. If they want to put TJ versus Dion, then at some point, it's Dion. You're going to be one-on-one more often than not. Okay, we got to feel how that game goes, but we're going to start giving you no help to TJ. Maybe we'll put a body presence there and not a chip, but a tight end or a back getting outside on the release. If 90 wants to line up on our right, his left, TJ Watt, and he wants to rush over Vandermark, we're going to chip him every play. There's not a play where we will not chip TJ Watt. That has to be the philosophy. The teams that have gone against Pittsburgh in passing situations and have had success are the ones that have said he will not ruin the game. Now, is that a demand? I believe it is. I don't think the Steelers defense is good enough to slow down this offense unless you give them the opportunities to dominate the game. Chicago gave him one because they didn't chip him, and he gets home and it's a sack, fumble, touchdown. So yeah, it's a defense that has high-end players that doesn't play at a high level.
This defense in the secondary as well, they've got Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, and then Kyle Duggar has been plugged in coming over from New England.
That's a great defense in 2015.
Yeah, it seems like these guys are a little bit, have some miles on their chassis. How are they playing in the secondary?
Poorly. I would tell you as a unit, they're playing poorly. As a whole defensive group, Chris mentioned the sacks. I think the secondary, I'm just being honest, there are multiple times a game where I write down as a note, I don't know what this defense is doing. There's gashes in their secondary. There are vacated zones in their secondary. They play with improper leverage at times. They're nosy and physical at times. Ramsey's very physical still. You can run by them. Joey Porter Jr. has games when he plays at a pretty high clip, and then he has games where I sit there and I go, you don't look like the same player as the week before. So there's gashes. The more that you force this defense to really communicate and pass things off in concept, you can rip them. Three-level concepts can rip them. And so it's a secondary that just has not played at a high level. I would tell you as a run defense has not played at a high level. I think the more you motion and run the football at the same time, you can rip off runs against this defense. So there's a lot schematically you can take advantage of.
Yeah, taking that a step further, Dan, I did see a number here, and we can take it for what it's worth. I imagine there are a lot of different variables at play when I say this, but the Steelers have given up the third most yards after the catch this season. It's over 1,500 yards in 11 games. Yep. That's over 140 yards after the catch per game. And I was really a big proponent last week of going back to the quick release passing game that this Bills offense put on display against Kansas City about a month ago. I thought that might have some traction against a Houston defense. Could it have some traction against this Pittsburgh defense? Get the ball in the hands of the playmakers and let them run around and beat old, slow defenders.
No doubt. I don't think it's a need, Chris. I don't think this is your only way to have success against this defense. But there's no question about it. That is something that you want to build into. And I think, when I watch this defense, there seems to be, four guys doing one thing, two guys doing another thing on their back end. And there's this constant, it feels disconnect. And so, yeah, yards after the catch. But my point is this, it doesn't have to just be that. Okay. Yes, it can be, and I would do that. But I think that you can run just a lot of really good pass concepts that are built out of maybe a motion or a stack or change the formation or a bunch or play action in a switch release. And you're just getting busts in coverage. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. They're playing last week against the Bears, and the Bears run a basic motion over to slot, snap it, seam route, and there's nowhere anywhere remotely close to the seam in cover three. No one close to him. They run another empty set motion, switch release off the receiver. It's man. No one covers the man guy. They run it's 3rd and 5. The ball snapped at the 36-yard line. The closest defender is 10 yards deep. It's 3rd and 5. I have no concept defensively of why you would do that. Maybe there's smarter people than me. But for me as an offense, I'm like, sweet, thank you. Here's my first down conversion, easy throw. So,
right.
I don't want to minimize. Listen, this is Cam Hayward's very good. Obviously, TJ's very good. Patrick Queen's a very good player. It just feels like there's a lack of all 11 of that group playing together.
Yeah.
And I know that last week, notwithstanding, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Steelers. How is their offense playing when he's under center, and what are they good at? And what's this offense supposed to look like?
Yeah, so the best thing that they do, indifferent of the quarterback, is they put big humans on the field and run the ball at you.
Right.
You will see this offense put 6 offensive linemen on the field plus a 311-pound tight end. So they basically have 7 offensive linemen on the field, and they're going to run the football at you in different ways. They'll run the football downhill at you. They're really big on getting the ball to the perimeter with their 6 offensive linemen, 2 tight end grouping with Washington on their toss game. Washington is a very difficult person to just play defense against and match because he's so big. And they'll throw it to him, and then do you have a guy big enough to tackle him? And he's 311 pounds, but he moves relatively good for that size. And so that's the best thing they do by far, Steve. You know, they'll get the ball to DK. They'll take a one-on-one shot to DK. It's 3-step pass game where they want Aaron in the gun, get it out quick. You know, if you want to play zone, he's going to find a soft spot in your zone now. He doesn't want to hold the football. If you want to play man, one-on-one, ball is going to DK. Freiermuth's a good player as well. I don't want to minimize him, but this is an offense right now that, you know, it's built to run the football with a bunch of big people, and that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Coach Tomlin's already ruled out both Derek Harmon on the defensive side with the stinger from last week, and he also ruled out left tackle Broderick Jones. Sorry, Broderick Jones had the stinger. Derek Harmon had the knee injury. Both already out for this game. So it looks like they're going to decide through the course of the week whether it's going to be the swing tackle Calvin Anderson or the veteran Andrus Peat at left tackle.
So Anderson, that's a big deal, Chris. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Anderson is the 6th offensive lineman guy. He's the guy that comes into the game as the 6th offensive lineman. So, you know, left tackle, if it's going to be Anderson, that could throw that 6 offensive lineman grouping in flux. Can they use it as much? That's the first time that they've been dealt with that situation.
Yeah, they may just use 3 tight ends and forget about the 6th offensive lineman if Anderson's the swing guy. Right. I'm trying to get a gauge here because on the road, the Bills are now 2-3, and they've struggled there. As you know, you saw one in person back in Week 6 in Atlanta, and through no coincidence, four of their 5 fewest rush attempt games include all 4 of their losses. And some people might just say, well, of course, because they're probably down on the scoreboard and they have to throw the ball. But they've stayed in most of these games that they have lost. It hasn't precipitated a need to go all-out pass. Why do you think when the offense has struggled early, they've seemingly drifted away from James Cook and the run game in terms of rush attempts?
Yeah, I think that's an anomaly right now that is really tough to point the finger on. Like I know this is in Buffalo, but I thought 2 of the most impressive things I saw this weekend was when Dallas went down 21-0 and Kansas City was down 20-6. Neither of them chased points. Both of them stayed disciplined and ran the football, and that was massive for their balance. And I don't know why Buffalo has done that. And to your point, this haven't been runaway football games.
Right.
You know, I would tell you philosophically, you're trailing. The worst thing that you can do, and I'll go back to last week, is get into obvious passing situations against high-end rush units. So, hey, let's not run our head into the wall. This is a great defense. Our game plan said to be aggressive on first downs. Let's throw it. I just think you got to be very, very, very careful. I understand not wanting to stress protection, but I also believe that you can lose sight of your most important players touching the football on a consistent basis. And James Cook is a player that every single time he touches the football, good things can happen, and more often than not do. Yep. And sometimes special things happen. And
Go ahead. Are they too quick to, when their offense starts to sputter even the least bit, are they too quick to put everything on Josh's plate and say, Josh, let's get us out of this hole? I mean, you couldn't say that because the guy can do it, right? But they may be too quick to say, listen, let's just go easy here.
This year, the answer is yes. And that's weird because last year the answer was no. Now, they weren't in as many situations last year, but last year, I'll give Marcus Spears credit. Marcus constantly has said to me, like, my concern with Buffalo's offense is when it goes a volume pass game. Now, there are moments in games that it's needed and the best way, but I just don't believe, again, that that's been the case more often than not this year. And it's too quick a trigger to say, bail us out, go make a special play. And I just think James is such a difference-making player that he needs his touches. And 17 carries on the road, it's just not enough.
Right. That's why I brought it up, because I looked at it and that's what the numbers say. And to me, that's got to change. And I'm expecting a much bigger balance to their attack this week, especially against a run defense that's pretty much average or has been through the course of the season. Dan, appreciate the time as always. We'll catch up with you next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you.
All right, that's ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky joining us. And